You guys have just seen a vision that showed you a imperious-looking drow arch-wizard conducting some type of ritual in the which something has gone horribly wrong. And when this vision ends, you feel it was the sole machinations of this one individual and whatever caused this mistake that literally unleashed and summoned all the demon lords that you have encountered, and possibly more, into the Underdark.
Oh, beans.
He does not look like the guy we just met, though.
No, he doesn't. This one looks older, but not nearly as weathered or worn.
Is it potential, this rhetorical question, this might be potentially the mage that the one we met lost to?
Could be. Sussaro, if you want to do any kind of history checks now that you've seen the same vision, you're welcome to try and identify who this person might have been.
Oh yeah, let's go. All right, that is an 18, and this name might be important, so I'm gonna pump that to a 23 with an unyielding mind.
Okay. All right. You think that this is the current and the constant arch-wizard / archmage of Menzo Berenzin for the past 200 and now plus years, known as Gromph Bonri. I believe that's how you say Baenre. And it's Gromph for the first name.
Grumph.
And when you identify this figure, you know for a fact that this one was the one who competed directly with Viserion for the placement of Archwizard.
We know who done did it. Now we gotta know why, and we gotta know how.
I mean, we know what, but I wouldn't say we know why.
Well, why is an interesting question when we have discovered that it was an accident. I do not believe this mage intended to summon the demons here. Though I don't know what his intentions were.
Exactly.
It was clearly in some sort of experimental conjuration.
It seemed to be conjuration magic. But teleportation is conjuration magic. We do not know that he was attempting to bring something here, per se. It could have been a summoning, it could have been a displacement.
Sephel, make me an Arcana check.
Okay. 17.
With that amount of knowledge, with that knowledge check, you recognize that this was indeed a extremely powerful conjuration spell. As to what spell it was exactly, you can't quite place it, but you remember seeing a certain number of items that were kind of unclear from the view in which this moment was played to you that were put in this ritualistic circle, meaning that it was even beyond the level of an archwizard, which you can kind of recall, like, there was a time where you were at that level.
Yeah.
And when you held that power, you could manipulate the universe at will. So something that required both that much innate talent and knowledge and the use of outside materials, like, this was the potential for god level magic.
Yeah.
And when
something
it fucks
earth-shattering
up,
was
fucks up
happening.
bad. Exactly. He was attempting to do something and absolutely did not have the control. And therefore, this is the consequences.
Yeah.
The demon lords are here.
Sephel will relay all of that as he's intuiting it. Why and how, I don't know if they're quite consequential, unless we cared to know what this mage was attempting, which might be useful, but I'm unsure.
Perhaps the question of why has now Perhaps the question of why has now switched to the entities which were released. They have all appeared at the same time, and now they have begun to cause chaos. What was their motivation?
Perhaps
Is that what you guys want to do? Kind of focus on the demon lords and figure that part out? Or I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Andrew.
No. That's I think a question begets question. Let's fly.
Sure. Yeah, the worst case is we follow just this line of inquiry that will eventually lead us to... We're like past, present, leading into the future eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there one in particular that you focus on first, or are you kind of bringing that up to the library of like, show me what you will, guide my hand kind of a thing?
I kind of think we don't know enough about them to target one particular one.
I mean, we know one's really hot.
Sure.
You do know that.
And
You've spied on another one. You've heard of another one. You had one rampage through a city. And then you vanquished an aspect of another.
Yeah. I think...
Well, we have the information... I believe we were given the information that the two most intelligent were Demogorgon and... Was it Orcus?
Through Sussaro's knowledge checks a couple episodes back, you know that the three most powerful that held the longest standing rivalry amongst the current demon lords were Orcus, Grozit, and Demogorgon. However, in eons past, Dagon and one other who came from an elder generation of demons held the title of Demon Prince before Demogorgon usurped them. And now Orcus and Grozit are constantly in combat with Demogorgon for that title because more power comes with it.
So currently Demogorgon is the top of that umbrella.
He is the head honcho.
Do we follow that lead then?
let's fly.
Sure. I'll hold out the rod. Bring us to Demogorgon. Knowledge of Demogorgon. Knowledge of Demogorgon.
Oh my god.
The wall explodes. Tentacles coming.
You called.
Yeah, one of his two heads peeks in. What do you want?
I'm planning an invasion here.
I'm busy. You start moving around the room. You feel this pull from the Stone Speaker's gem until you see one of these stelae that's constructed in an odd fashion that makes you think you've seen this type of construction before, and then you're sucked into this new vision. You see a Koatoa swimming in the gloomy depths of a very familiar dark subterranean lake. He turns left and right. It's trying to find something even as it's surrounded by feigned creatures that look something like manta rays. And the Koatoa smiles, its needle-like teeth gleaming even in the darkness. It's seen something. It understands a new secret. and its already unhinged mind plunges further into madness. The Koatoa curls in on itself, its arms extend in worship, and then from the circle of rays, 2 tentacles begin to emerge, followed by the growing 2 howling baboon heads. And then the vision fades. This is what comes to your minds when you question of Demogorgon and how he arrived in the Underdark. Seems he appeared from some kind of portal created through these creatures and the worship of a Koatoa who went mad instantly. But you do know that this portal opening is related to the ritual that you saw moments before.
Mm-hmm.
So it opened portals in multiple areas. Potentially.
And I think as you guys are kind of having these thoughts, all of a sudden a new vision comes over you as like the crystal almost like whirls you around and you're pointed at a Zirkwood stele. And it seems to be rotting. And your nostrils fill with this horrible putrid smell. As your eyes are then filled with the vision of a cavern of peculiar beauty that opens up before you, with lights of every color shining from the pure essence of life, diffused and amplified by the glow of Pharez. The glow pulses, and you can feel the life in the cavern rotting away, bursting with infection. A mushroom begins to grow in the center of this cave, ever larger and taller, pulsates, forming and seeping as its stems thicken and its cap reaches to the cavern ceiling, forming a vast fungal tower. 2 myconids approach the site in awe, not minding the carpet of rot under their feet. You sense their minds begin to dance in a new song of wonder as they kneel in worship. And you know this sight, and you know that they are already doomed. And a voice sounds out within the cloud of spores that fall like snow. And the voice tells the myconids to prepare for a gift unlike any they have ever known. And then that vision fades. However, you recognize from this vision that one of the myconids as Sovereign Philo, and the other ones of you realize it must have been Yestabrod, the one that ended up being mutated into that huge maggot-like creature. Do you continue on wondering how each of these demon lords that you both know and don't know have appeared? Or do you guys have new questions?
I want to see the Slime King.
Jubilex.
So I picture Scylla just like grabs the crystal from Sephel and is like, "Show me Jubilex." You turn to what looks like an almost melted like stele. You see a deep gnome, spurned by others of his kind, weeps as he wanders dark mine shafts and tunnels, talking to the things that crawl and seep from the walls. You see him adopting 2 slick patches of ooze that sense his innate power over them. He plays with them as if they were children, chasing them through the gloomy depths. But something changes, and the oozes begin to flow away. The deep gnome runs after them, fearful of being alone once again. You feel this this hunger, this incredible hunger begin to seize him. He experiences visions that pass into your vision that show you what appears as a paradise to him, but an oozing nightmare for all others. And this hunger speaks to him. His already broken mind a shield against the hunger's shattering power. That power seems to recognize and acknowledge something in this gnome that will serve it well. That great hunger, he learns, has a name. Jubilex. And its power, he giggles, its great and terrible power. It grants him the ability to command what he calls the little hungers, his children, so that they can return to the place that cast them out and devour it all. And from that, you see this small ooze begin to form and grow with multiple eyes and strands that begin to consume everything around it. And you realize that this is the Pudding King that begins to cackle as Jubilex begins to form right in front of them before the vision fades.
Is there another we would like to see, or?
I'm curious about Dagon, to see if he was actually summoned the same way as the others, or if there was some other circumstance there.
So you take the crystal back, or do you say this to Scylla and hope Scylla kind of takes something there?
I think Sephel says it to Scylla, and she hands him the crystal.
She doesn't want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Noted.
Okay.
Sephel will use it. Find Dagon.
You take back the stone speaker crystal and you begin to think of Dagon and wonder how he appeared. And you're led to a broken crystal tablet made of this very deep opalescent-like material. And this vision comes to you almost staticky. Because as this vision opens up in front of you, you see what looks like the foundations of an ancient kingdom. Its parapets and towers and walls and homes all scattered about in these deep depths, long forgotten and abandoned. However, at the center of this once magnificent structure, this kingdom, you see a lone figure swims through the darkness. A very thin, weak, but giant-sized figure. And you recognize it as a Naute. They hold horrible scars and tattoos, and along with what look like wounds, you see what like scarification that form odd symbols on their skin, and they don't hold that kind of natural glow in the patterns that you had seen before. But this Naute swims forth in this almost broken pattern, as you can see that they're somewhat deformed. And as they enter into what looks like this old, dark cathedral-like structure, in the far back amongst the ruined walls, where the faintest bit of light flows down, is this old altar that seems to look like a pit with nothing but yawning tentacles coming forth, with almost the promise of something great rising from the depths. And you see this Naute swim forward and pull this horrible, rusted-looking like knife, and they begin to chant. these dark murmurs, and they begin to take this knife and scratch it along their skin, opening some of these old scars. You see across their chest is this tattooed and scarred depiction of some kind of twisted, horrifying leviathan. And as they open up the old wounds, the blood turns red and becomes black and oozes forth towards this dark altar before seemingly disappearing into the depths of what looks like this yawning hole. And the tentacles begin to move and grow and press until finally, as this single lone old ravaged Naute close on the edge of death begins to scream this cackle, missing teeth, until finally this large clawed-like hand smashes down upon them and the vision ends.
Did I get the impression, like I have from previous visions, that this was the same time as everything else? Or...
You, as you're seeing these visions, it seems something as the Ferez, like, make a... All of you can do this, because whether you like it or not, you do share these visions as you're all there. Unless Scylla was like, I'm leaving this room. I'm not going to be near here for this. Roll me perception checks.
I think she would have stuck around for it, but...
Definitely not happy with it.
Yeah. Perception, you said?
Yep.
19.
19? Okay.
Also 19.
15.
Okay. Sephel, you're so wrapped up in kind of like, what the fuck is going on? What was this place? I don't recognize this. Scylla, you don't even recognize this, and you've explored quite a bit of the Dark Lake. But Scylla and Sussaro begin to see that around each of these figures that seemingly happen to arrive at these moments where these demon lords are appearing, you almost see these like flickers in the vision around the individuals that seem like the breaking of the Ferez in reality, like that spell did when Gromph cast his spell. And you see that same kind of energy bristle around where each of these lords begin to emerge. So with Demogorgon amongst the manta ray like creatures, you can see their like bodies begin to like shift, and they get to move unnaturally, and then they start doing this circle from which Demogorgon then like crawls and bursts forth from. You see the same around the altar for Dagon. With Zuktmoy, you see this mushroom begin to manipulate, and the Frez begins to kind of influence it. And so every vision that you're currently seeing, whatever Gromph did has caused the Ferez to go wilder than ever and carry some part, perhaps, of the intention that he wanted in the original spell, but also coinciding with these broken people, or these passions, or these yearnings, or these callings, along with perhaps even the Demon Lord's own desires, has formed these almost perfect coincidental moments that have summoned them here in these various places.
If we are to assume that when the spell went awry, in various parts of the Underdark, there were people who had a want or a need for power or destruction, that the portals opened up for them, that would indicate that this entire design is rather chaotic.
Yes. Demons, true to their nature. Chaos. I think we must find out what it is this wizard did exactly. I think they drew the veil very tight and allowed things to pass between worlds, but it does not happen without intention. supplication on the part of those most vulnerable. We must know more. And we must sharpen our weapons against this force.
If the portals would open, it would make sense that perhaps this spell could be undone?
Perhaps. Magic Man!
I mean, a spell being undone insinuates that it is still perpetually in effect. The spell seems to have been a conjuration. Once the demons arrived, the conjuration was complete. The spell does not exist to be broken anymore. The effects are done. Now
then we require another.
There is banishment. That is something that exists, that can be done. It is difficult with powerful creatures such as this, if that is truly what we wish to do. But it is an option. We can try to find more knowledge of what this spell was intended to be. Though I don't know for certain that it will help us fix the mistake that was made. But for the sake of knowledge, I am not against learning it. The real question we need answered, however, is what is the best course of action to fix the problem.
Agreed.
Yes.
So that is our question.
How to heal the wound.
You begin focusing on this idea of how do we go about doing this. And Sussaro, are you the one leading that charge with your wisdom kind of a thing? I'm not asking you to roll yet, but that was kind of your role before, was to kind of take up that instinctual talk with the library. You focus on this, and go ahead and now give me a wisdom roll.
Seven.
You think the library holds no answer to that. Whatever its archives have, it doesn't have anything recorded within it that pertains to how to undo this. It doesn't possess the knowledge yet as to how it was done or will be done.
Crazy idea. Going back on my previous statement. If there is no knowledge of what to do, we must come to our own solution, which is either we fight them or we banish them. If we can learn what the spell was that mistakenly summoned them here, perhaps with our knowledge and tools in Dimcairn around the Ferez right now, we could cast a similar banishment spell.
Interesting, Mr. Hesk. Very interesting.
Would they all have to be in the same place?
I don't know. I need to understand the spell that brought them here first.
It is what Arthur said, is it not? To bring them together?
He did say to bring them together. What I took from that is he thought it best that they kill each other. That would make it easier if we were to fight them. But the theory may stand that having them together is the best way to deal with them, either by combat or by magic.
Or perhaps we bring them together, they are distracted in their combat, and then we strike with magic.
All right. Sephel will put his hand on Sussaro's shoulder again. Find me that spell, Doctor.
As you guys begin to focus on this, an echo begins to walk into the room.
Ugh.
You see, it's this elderly man in wizardly robes, reddish in attire, with a large floppy hat, very classical in nature, who sees a lot of you and goes, well, I'm very sorry to be interrupting you. I'm very sorry. I'm happy to turn elsewhere. Perhaps, is there any chance that... Could you tell me something? What is the year for you?
Scylla looks nervously at Sephel.
He says the current year for us, which he totally knows.
Absolutely, you do. And he goes, yes. So you are... This is fascinating. I do love this. You are from the past. Well, I won't leave too many breadcrumbs for you. Be on your way. I do apologize. And he kind of tips his hat. It has been a pleasure. Oh, just in case there is a moment when we meet in the future, what are your names?
Scylla looks nervously at Sephel.
My name is Sephel Hesk.
Oh, I have heard of you. Yes, I would love to chat with you longer. You, madam, please.
Scylla looks nervously at Sephel.
He just nods.
Drusilla.
Oh, if only I could shake your hand, madam. Oh, damn, I wish I could speak more on this. And you, sir, please. He, runs over to Sussaro. He's like, your name, please. It cannot be the three of you.
Sussaro, Gildane, Abernathy, Umbernut.
Are you all right? This is
how I felt meeting Grazit.
Oh, you met with Grazit.
I thought we agreed, Sussaro.
What? He's walking around here. He'll see him later.
Oh, he was
Sir.
here. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's just... I'm sorry. This is all I'll say. It's incredible to meet three legends in something of the flesh.
What is your name?
I am Elminster.
Oh. Do you know someone named Gale?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Nothing.
What?
Sam, he knows your boyfriend.
Yes, could I just... What's you're here looking for?
I don't know how much this tempers with things.
I'm just curious, if you tell me I'm in the future, the things have already happened.
So you know what we came here looking for, do you not?
No, not precisely. What you do in the moments doesn't necessarily dictate what you did in X amount of time that I will not disclose.
Tell you what.
Yes.
Call it part of the myth.
Ooh, you are dastardly, just like I thought you would be. Is it true you're from the astral plane?
I've been told as such.
So it's true. The thought that you had amnesia, is it because you were a mind flamer? No, don't tell me. Perhaps there's more records here in the library. But you, sir, Sussaro, were you in fact a borough warden of Bligdenstone? Please confirm this for me.
True. Yes. Before the fall.
Oh, my poor brain. And madam, Damn. Were you
Yes?
truly the lone survivor of the Coral City's fall when Dagon appeared?
She looks very sad. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. In my excitement, I forgot to call him. Oh, shit.
Hey, is it true your family just died?
I'm afraid it was only a few months ago.
Blast.
At least for me, it's been 150 years, so I feel fine.
And then he looks at you, Sussaro, and he goes, "But you have family. You have family now." Sorry, no. I'm not
What?
supposed to say no,
What?
no.
What?
Too much. So you're here. Tell me I'm right. I'd love to know that I'm right. You're here studying what happened, how this came to be, is it not?
Wait. Cool. True, Sephel, we could tell him, right? I mean,
Come on, tell old Elminster.
I don't know. I am sort of off-put by his demeanor. Is this what they... He leans to Sussaro, hoping his knowledge is better. Is this what they call fanboys?
I'm afraid so.
They are dangerous types.
So
They will-
reason.
They will
Perhaps our,
only get in the way.
perhaps our conversations with this Elminster would counteract our conversations with Grosset? A good and a bad?
How does that work?
I'll just tell you, whatever conversation you had, unless I become like one of the greatest wizards ever to be recorded amongst all of the planes, who you share a relation with, I do believe, I don't think I'll be changing anything of the very distant past for me.
Foreshadowing.
That is the current present for you. Yes.
This is so confusing.
I
we can
know,
trust him.
it's
He's so
lovely.
fun.
Fine, speak to the paparazzi.
You're right, Elminster. We're here investigating the very thing you think we're investigating.
Yes, indeed. So you figured out that Gromf Banner just revealed this demonic incursion with his failed attempt at a conjuration, yes?
Yes, the very same.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, gosh, I cannot wait to tell my colleagues back home. Oh, this is delightful. Yes, I'll have to visit... Never mind, I'm not going to say that. Well, that's...
Are you unable to tell us anything?
Well,
It would only save us about 10 minutes time.
Yes, it would save you 10 minutes on your podcast. Yes. I do remember the record stating that you had this entire invention recorded.
This man invented a new form of universal magic. Now, there's graviturgy, chronomancy, and fourth wallergy.
He goes, the only thing I'll tell you, because you have done some investigation in it, and I don't want to break the continuum and what you will all be doing in the future.
Except
I don't
no
want to
one
break
does.
the timelines,
Aren't
but I know
there
what happens.
rules for
Yes,
that,
there's
that
rules,
even say you talking
precisely.
to us is a problem?
No, I can talk about this. If it's benign or things you semi already know about, it'll be fine. You'll figure it out eventually when you... I'm not going to say that part. His spell. Listen, look at me. Look at Elminster.
I'm the
Put your
Archmage
thinking
now.
caps. I'm the Archmage now. I'm the master of the universe. It was... Not really. I wish. It was an entirely unintended spell. Something or someone influenced it with a great deal of power to go wrong. But that's all I'm going to say. Ta-ta! And he disappears out the door. And then he pokes back in. Seriously, again, really lovely to meet three legends in the flesh. And then he waves at Bronte and Nobon and is like, don't know about you two. And then leaves.
Aww.
Somebody interfered.
Indeed. Perhaps a rival wizard?
Elminster pops back in. Also, don't get attached to friends. Many heroes died. Goodbye.
Ooh.
I mean, we already knew that part.
Also, I just can't
Leave.
help. Make sure you know of every demon in the Underdark. Goodbye.
Like, you just hear him walking after that.
Yeah, you just hear the clopping away.
Yeah.
Well, that was enlightening. Awesome. Sephel, you have amnesia? How has that not come up?
We must have talked about that.
I don't think so.
No.
Look at my staff. It has my entire essence and soul inside of it.
That's a conversation for Campfire Dreary. Anyway.
I'm just pulling it out there, Sephel. We are in a library of near infinite information.
Pertaining to the Underdark.
Yep.
Ah, shit.
Yep.
Well, never
don't
mind.
think I didn't think of that one.
You're still royally boned.
I
So-
believe. Oh, sorry.
There's a Sephel. If he survives this, there's a version of Sephel like a month after the demons are dealt with that just like holes himself up in his tower, staring into the staff of the orb, remembering everything.
Yeah.
Like, this has been bullshit for too long. Let's figure some stuff out.
Soul
He's like,
searching.
tell me what I'm feeling here, please. Treating it like a therapist.
Who am I?
Who am I become?
Okay. So that insinuates two things. Someone fucked with the spell for some reason. We should probably hammer down that.
Yes.
It also maybe insinuates we don't know all of the players in the game yet. There might be more demon lords we have not dealt with or know about. Which is terrible. I hate that.
Yes, there are a lot of them. Also, I will say that this being centered in Menzoberranzan. Menzoberranzan? I can never pronounce the Elvish word.
It's spelled stupid.
Elvish. A language that I am
It's literally spelled stupid, but it pronounced Menzoberranzan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These runes are pronounced in all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should
Perhaps.
we perhaps not discount the role of Lolth in this?
That is certainly...
I, to be honest, don't know her well. I just know that she sucks.
I got very intimate with her very, very briefly in an almost catastrophic way not too long ago.
What? What?
Not intimate in the way that Scylla thinks about Grazit. Intimate in
I
the...
did think that.
Intimate in the almost in my brain kind of way. So, her influence is certainly something to be considered.
Perhaps the question is, where were Vizarian and Lolth at the time the spell went wrong?
Perhaps we should have a conversation with Mr. V.
Should we try to track him back down, or do we believe he's been lost to the halls?
I think only the halls can be the judge of that.
Okay.
Yeah, we might as well try.
Yeah, we were already trying to learn the nature of the spell, so that might answer the question of
Who it was.
who it was. I have a sneaking suspicion of what was supposed to be on the end of that conjuration spell, given what we know about the drow and certain things, but I'm not going to meta anything. So we sort of have, do we want to find Vizarian directly before we leave the room that has all the stelae on the demons, do we want to make sure that we know of all of the demons?
Let's get to know all the demons.
Okay.
I also want to know what Grazit's entrance was, because I'm wondering if that might clue us into who we can trust and not trust in Gracklestug.
Interesting. Like if somebody was... Like who summoned him, pretty much?
Yeah, like
or who was present at his arrival.
Yeah,
whose need for debauchery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brought the six-fingered sex demon.
That fucking Deep King's a monster.
He a freak.
Yeah,
no.
Absolute beast. All right. So
I
let's...
got some questions for Tasha. Just saying.
So let's get info on Grazit, and then let's check the stele. Will, is it right to assume, like, it kind of seemed that all of these, like, stelae were laid out, all pertaining to the arrivals of the demons?
It seems that way, yeah.
So, I guess we'll go to the ones that we haven't seen yet.
Okay.
So Grazit, and then any that don't look familiar to us, I guess.
All right. So you go to one that appears to be almost made entirely out of obsidian.
Mm-hmm.
And as you point the stone speaker crystal, this vision comes to you in which you see a circle of small hooded figures, their forms hunched and emaciated. Their gestures and movements are jerky, indicative of some type of madness that possesses them. They're chanting and swaying to their own words, and then they stop as the glow of Pharez rises around them, whispering to them in unintelligible sounds and moans. The Darrow that you see begin to cackle and dance, their hands glowing with a power that isn't theirs. Their vision shifts, and suddenly gray dwarves stare down at the red-hot metal on their anvils. The constant rhythm of their hammering falters, and suddenly dwarf brother turns against dwarf brother as their minds turn inward upon themselves, and you see sparks begin to fly as both sin in terms of carnal and bloody relations begin to thrive.
Did the Darrow look like they were in the Whirlstone tunnels?
They did.
This guy.
This hecking guy.
It's all fucking connected.
The next one that you move to appears to be made probably the most plain out of all of them, of just a dark gray stone. Unremarkable, almost hardly what you could call to be a stele, in all honesty. But as you stare into it through the stone speaker crystal, you're once again granted a vision of a rift formed by Pharez that opens wide, illuminating a dark tunnel. This rift spits out a small black gem that clatters as it tumbles against the tunnel floor and sits still. The rift fades and time passes until the gem is picked up by a gray-skinned dwarf who inspects it closely. And then the vision shifts a little bit to a brightly lit cavern full of crude merchant stalls where the Draugr hands the gem to oh my god, I can't pronounce their full name. Verfneblin. Surfneblin. For
the deep gnomes.
The deep gnomes. The gnome refuses to return the gem, though, and instead of giving it to one of her deep gnome apprentices, the young apprentice skulks away with the gem in his clutches, but is then ambushed by a gargoyle. The gargoyle snatches the gem, flies away, and gives it to a female drow. The drow begins to gaze into the black gemstone and sees within it a hideous, demonic gargoyle face looking back at her from within. Thoughts of murder and carnage fill her thoughts as she hides the gemstone on her person, draws her short sword, and coats the blade with poison. Roll me Arcana or History checks.
8.
26 for our max.
A mere 17.
With a 26, Sephel, through this vision, what you notice is that everybody who picks up this gem almost seems compelled, very similarly to Gollum from Lord of the Rings, to defend it and hold on to it as much as possible. And people will kill for it, and it moves on, and it corrupts another and another. And then that gargoyle-like face makes you think that this is the demon lord Fraz Urb Lu, known as the Prince of Deception and the Demon Lord of Illusions. But something about the fact that his power and not him is coming from this gem piques your curiosity, as these other demon lords seem to be here in the full flesh. The next stele you move to is one that bears a very almost bone-like characteristics. And as you gaze into it, you see the heart of an alien cavern glistening with slime. Scores of mind flayers gather around an enormous brain resting in a pool. And the brain, you realize, is dead. You can hear the Illithid's incomprehensible thoughts as they mourn its passing, one word echoing louder than the others. Cyrog. And suddenly, the Frez bathes the dark and twisted hall in purplish light. The rift opens and a hulking, horned figure that reeks of putrescence steps out. It raises a skull-tipped wand and points it at the once dead elder brain, and it begins to pulsate. You see intermittent flashes of purple light under its rotting flesh. The mind flayers are aghast as the elder brain begins to speak to them once more, telling them that Orcus has saved Cyrog and commands them to follow him into undeath. Want me to keep going, or is there anything you want to discuss?
How many more are there?
Buckle in.
Hell yeah.
You
Give me that Yanzu shit, baby.
You come to the next one that seems, these two that are smaller, but both similarly seeming to be steeped in blood. The first one, that look, then becomes that rust-like smell of blood as it fills your nostrils. You yourself feel that you are wandering a maze of underdark tunnels, moving with purpose as your giant hooves crush stones underfoot. Frez light reveals that your shadow is monstrous, suggesting a hulking beast with a crown of horns. With your bloody glaive in hand, you carve a swath through a forest of towering zirkwood mushrooms that stand in your way. They fall like nothing. The tunnels beyond would confuse any ordinary mind, but you instinctively know the path you must walk. Every step brings you closer to a magma-filled chasm, lodged in which is an enormous contraption of metal and stone, a weapon capable of reshaping the Underdark itself. You can make Arcana checks if you guys wish to identify this one.
Not gonna not.
3.
Damn. Damn, Scylla. One of these days. I'm waiting for that
23.
nat 23.
Whoa, let's go.
That's good, because I got a nat 1.
23.
Damn.
Dang.
You think with the way you felt and the subtle clues of the glaive, the crown of horns, you think this is Baphomet, the Horned King and Demon Lord of Beasts.
Hey, it's Ivan's girlfriend.
Hey. The other thing that he is known as is the Horned King, the Prince of Beasts, and the King of all savage things. I believe that's what it is there. Yeah, I think that's it. Let me get to the next one, because another vision fills you along with this twin stele right next to it. You see a hunched and rotting creature with the head of a fiendish hyena that begins swinging a triple-headed flail at a beholder, crushing it in an instant. As the eye tyrant falls to the floor, a pack of hyenas leaps onto the corpse and begins to tear off its eye stalks while the demon lord licks the gore off his weapon. As the hyenas feed, they begin to fall, shivering, and then transforming into slavering, cackling gnolls before your eyes. And as you guys have run into this, you know that this is Yanogu, the beast of butchery and the Gnoll Lord. And finally, you see one very small, hidden in the farthest corner of this room. And as you approach, this very short vision overcomes you. You behold the true form amongst these large spider webs of the demon queen of spiders, and that of a black, bloated arachnid with the upper body and head and arms of a female drow. Nestled in the webs all around her are thousands upon thousands of gray eggs. Loth, her head snaps up as she realizes she is being scryed upon. Her fury tangible as her mind reaches out to find the three of you. Her shriek of rage as she shuts out the powerful wards of Graven Hollow, and it echoes in your mind as your vision is suddenly torn away from the darkness. And I need you all to make sanity checks.
Oh, no.
Right.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Oh. Hey everyone, welcome to the end of the episode. 2 quick announcements for you. You've already heard us say it 100 times. We have a Discord. What are you waiting for? Get in here. We have so many amazing like-minded DMs in there. A lot of players as well, people new to D&D. Some people have been in there a long time, and everyone's just having a nice time sharing tips, tricks, talking about one-shots, talking about Curse of Strahd, talking about Out of the Abyss, all the things. So definitely think about joining us. You can find the link to join our Discord at linktree.com/themadnesstable. You can also find our other social media links there, including our TikTok. And boy howdy, Andrew Walker has been killing it on TikTok, posting the most random mad memes you had ever seen. So definitely consider following us there as well. Lastly, if you've made it this far, consider leaving us a 5-star review in whatever podcatcher you're currently listening. 5-star reviews are instrumental in pushing us up the charts and getting us in new listeners, which is really what we're looking for to get the name out there. So consider doing that for us. We would be forever in your debt. But that's all for now. And we will see you in the next episode when...